gracious landowner dispatches a few of his servants to bring some snow down from the mountains to cool and refresh the workers at the harvest. That fits with the concept of a trustworthy messenger. So like someone coming down and bringing cool refreshments. So maybe not for us like this with snow harvest, but I remember hearing Charlie and Louise Brown, the old members at the Houston church a long time ago, they used to, he was 99 when he died, and that was probably 15 years ago. So he grew up and he was already an adult in the Great Depression and all that. So in the harvest and all that, when the harvesters came through, like in Kansas, right? You guys all know that. Harvesters came through. Louise's job was to bring lemonade or something like that out to them when they're out there working hard, and how refreshing that is. Okay? So what? How is a messenger like that a trustworthy messenger? The idea is with the messenger is that the messenger is coming from someone to somebody, okay? And so, and it's almost like you weren't really expecting the messenger. And so when you get this message from somebody, when someone sends you something, how refreshing that is. So to me, here's an illustration, a good practical way of understanding this. Let's say, and I know Carol Fox does this in our church a lot. You just, out of the blue, for no reason, it's not a celebration of anything, you get a card from somebody. It's just a positive, uplifting card. Just a random message, okay, on a random day. That's what this is like. So the concept behind that, you can, if you want to take it in that way, is look in the positive way, are you that person? Are you that person that just, unexpectedly brightens someone's day with a message? I mean, not personally, physically, I mean. Okay, well, it can go farther, yeah.
It goes farther than that. My translation at least says a trusty messenger. So think of all the things you get in the mail that promise good things that you know.
Okay, yeah, right. You're right. That's really good that you said that, because it also made me think of one other point. There's a psalm about it, and Paul quotes this in Romans 10. How beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news. Right. So the message we have to bring as trustworthy messengers, that's what the whole point you're saying there too. We have the most trustworthy message, and it's the best news that we have as Christians to share, the message of God's love for us in Christ. Okay, and so how refreshing is that to someone who's really worn out from the harvest and beaten down by the heat of the sun and all that, and how refreshing it is to be that person to share that trustworthy message with someone else. Okay, and I had other passages, but we'll skip over these because I just want to move on. Paul had people like that. Yeah, go ahead.
When I read that verse, the cold of snow at the time of harvest, there are many times that as North Americans, we are very limited in our concepts of harvest time and when it's cold and what time of year is everything. But throughout the world, harvest is at many different times.
Uh-huh.
In South Africa, they're harvesting in March and April, not in October and November. And in Israel, the snow and the harvest times are very different than we think as North Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm always like to live over there.
Yeah.
I'm always aware of that.
Yeah, well, and it talks about the early rains and the latter rains in the scripture, which how important those are. If one of those doesn't come, you starve because you don't get a harvest. Okay, how important. Yeah. So we understand that, right? We don't understand it very clearly because we just always have plenty, but other cultures, how important that was. So if you take that concept and again apply it here, how important it is for us to be the messengers to somebody who really needs encouragement. And that's where I had, Paul had a couple of statements, and I can just tell you where they are. 2 Corinthians 7, 6, and 7, and 1 Thessalonians 3, 6, and 7. It's where Paul says, Titus has just now come to us, and he has brought us good news. It's like, oh, what refreshing. Because we when he's writing to the Corinthians, because all we hear is bad news about you. But Titus has just brought us good news. And what comfort that gives to us. And then when he wrote to the Thessalonians, he's like, I was really, really worried that things were going bad for you because I've heard about how much pressure you're under there. But now Timothy has just now come to us, and he has brought us good news. So Paul was the recipient of the good message in that case, not the giver of it. But how refreshing that was for Paul to hear that God was still working in these areas where Paul was concerned that it wasn't happening. So those, to me, were two biblical illustrations that are really good on how important this proverb is. And so for us, if we're always looking at these proverbs in the sense of how can they apply to us, the positive proverbs, and how we can apply them, this is one way. Are you that messenger? How do you have beautiful feet? You know, that's the old cute line. You know, what do your feet look like? Are they stinky or are they, you know? But how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news? You know, all right, so that's that proverb. It's a wonderful one to take to heart. Then the next one becomes a bad one. It has a cultural thing, agricultural thing. Like clouds and wind without rain is a man who boasts of gifts he does not give. All right? Right? You have any illustrations of this one? I didn't really have any, so I was hoping someone else could. You know what it means, right? Someone who he has everything, you know, and you know he does, and you're really, or someone's really down hard on their luck, and they're looking for a handout or some help or something like that, and they get nothing.
I'm going to give $1 million to this guy, but never writes a check.
Yeah, but never writes a check. Exactly. This, did you have? Yeah.
It's like you get the thing in the mail, and it's from the Chevy garage. You come in, scratch this out,
Yeah.
and we'll give you this.
Yeah. Right.
Actually walk in there and they go, oh, look, this is the bag.
Yeah, that's right. Right. Yeah. You didn't win that. Yeah, no, you didn't get that. Okay.
Clouds with it.
What?
Clouds without, and wind without rain are worse than nothing.
They're actually worse. You're right.
Dries out the ground from an agricultural standpoint.
Oh man.
Wind actually dries out the ground.
Yeah.
Makes the drought worse.
Exactly. And in the other case, it gives you false hope. A cloudy day, but no. Yes.
And it doesn't even have to be monetary, it can be promises made.
Yes. They're fruitless. Yeah. In fact, when you said that, it just dawned on me. Jude says roughly the same thing when he's talking about false prophets. And Jude, it's only one chapter, so Jude verses 12 and on, I'll read it for you. It says, these men, that means these false prophets, these men are blemishes at your love feast, eating with you without the slightest qualm, shepherds who feed only themselves. Then he says, they are clouds without rain, blown along by the wind, autumn trees without fruit and uprooted, twice dead. Okay? He said, that's what these false prophets are. They promise. So you're talking about not in the more of a spiritual than the physical, monetary. These are the ones who promise you stuff, spiritually promise, but they can't back it up. So they aren't the trustworthy messenger. They don't bring that good message. They give you false hope. It'd be the prosperity preachers, how we would say it, who promise you, send me $100 and God will reward you 1,000-fold or 100-fold or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so it's that kind of thing, and that's what this proverb is about.
And more than just not getting what you're promised, it would be false prophets because it's leading in. A lot of people just give up their faith and hope.
Yeah. You get so disillusioned or disheartened by what you were promised that you didn't follow through that you give up your salvation. Right. And in a way, that's kind of what David's saying too. I think it's even worse. The strong wind and dries it out. Yeah, it's even worse. Yes. Yeah. Future implications. Right. Right. And of course, now in the practical and material aspect of this, James says this, okay? And James says it in chapter 2. You probably know this, chapter 2, verses 14 through 17, where he says, "What good is it, my brothers, if a man claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save him? Suppose a brother or sister is without clothes and daily food. If one of you says to him, 'Go, I wish you well, keep warm and well fed,' but does nothing about his physical needs, what good is it? And the same faith by itself without, if it's not accompanied by deeds, is dead." We know that kind of that verse, but that's the idea. Sadly, churches do that too. Pastors do that, and I have to watch myself in this case when people come by asking for help and saying, "I hope you get what you need." Bye. Okay, I don't do that. I try not to, but that can be what happens. God bless you. God bless you, and yeah. He's supposed to bless you through me. So that's the idea. So that's what this proverb is getting at. Okay, moving on. Through patience, a ruler can be persuaded, and a gentle tongue can break a bone. All right? This one is basically saying if you have a boss, because here it talks about a ruler here, but if you have a boss, in this case, we take it down to our level, so to speak. So Renee, if you have a boss who... Okay, just show patience. Just be patient. Be patient. Be patient. And genuinely patient. Now, I'm not talking about you anymore. Okay, just be genuinely patient. And as you're genuinely patient, just be gentle about how you do this. And in time, you can wear down the ruler. Okay, and because in time, the ruler, that's where he says it's even strong, it can break a bone. A gentle tongue can break a bone. You keep removing every obstacle that the ruler has to keep from doing what you want him to do or what you need him to do, and eventually he just breaks down. Now, it doesn't always happen that way. But that's what this is getting at. See, the opposite would be the worst. The opposite would be if he's going to treat me that way, I'm going to treat him that way. Well, obviously, what's going to happen then? Nothing good. It's just you're just adding fuel to the fire. You're just giving him more reason not to do what needs to be done. So gentleness is the way to approach it. Might not be easy to do. It's easy to say, but okay. All right. Now, okay, the next one. If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it and you will vomit. Of course, I always substitute donuts for honey whenever I see honey here, okay? If you find donuts, eat just enough, okay? Why? Too much of it and you will vomit? We know what that means, right? Yeah, even honey, even a good thing, because honey here is considered a good thing. Even a good thing like that. Now, obviously, this is referring to physical, not spiritual, because you can't get too much of a good spiritual thing, okay? But anything... that's even healthy for you, too much. I mean, too many vitamins can hurt you, right? And too much stuff like that can hurt you. Too many antibiotics, right, can give you C. diff because it kills off all the good bacteria inside you, right? It can do bad for you. So what is our proverb, a modern proverb? Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation, okay? So beware of buffets. This is my danger. Beware of free refills, okay? Because that's what I do. I don't buy a soda if it doesn't have a free refill. If it does, I'm going to get 3 refills, okay, because I get paid for it. And then you regret it, right? That's the whole point. You regret it. Same with buffets. Try not to go buffets anymore because you got to get your money's worth.
You said you couldn't do that in religion, but can't you? Because people become zealots.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You can't become too zealous and carry it to an extreme.
When you carry things to any extreme.
Yeah, I see your point. That is a good point. Yeah, if you can still do it in the right way, but yeah, you can take it to extreme like a Pharisee did. Too much of an extreme of I tithe even my mint and my cumin, So in other words, he gets his mint and he measures it all out, takes 1/10 of that and tithes it, all that kind of stuff, and becomes very fanatical about it to the point that the Pharisee and the tax collector, the story Jesus says the Pharisee says, I fast twice a week because you're only required to fast once a week. I give 1/10 of more than just what other people, And that way, then it becomes bad because, yes, and it becomes a self-righteous activity. Right. Good. That works. That works well there too. Okay, so we'll keep moving on with this one. Okay, seldom set foot in your neighbor's house. Too much of you, and he will hate you. And self-explanatory, yes.
Why we only send a prayer letter from overseas once every quarter. We did not send it out monthly.
I see.
And this was exactly my proof.
That was your proof. Okay.
That proof verse to tell the boss, no, we are not sending it monthly.
I like that idea. Right. Because it is self-explanatory, right?
It's self-explanatory and we had donor support. We were sound.
And so this is why a lot of times, and I remember this, we're talking like 25 or more years ago when Dale Meyer, still the Lutheran Hour speaker, okay? And at one of the conferences, some of the pastors were saying to Dale Meyer, says, why do you send so many mailings? Why? Every week we're getting a mailing. And I'm saying, wait,
You don't need our money because
you're spending it all on postage. Right. But his answer was, actually, it works. I was surprised. Because that annoys me. Okay, and anyone who's ever sent to some organization, you don't just get one thank you note. You get a thank you note with another envelope in it. Okay, and then the next month or whatever, you get another request for donations, and it just keeps going and going and going. All right, so don't. Our modern proverb is don't wear out your welcome. Well, that's a good one, too. Familiarity breeds contempt. Okay. I have a personal story on this one, if you don't care to hear, don't mind to hear it. I know. Okay. When I was on vicarage, my supervising pastor required me to make 20 calls a week, which is outrageous. There's no way. But they all live close by and all that. And he said, you don't call them, you just show up at their house. I hated that. I hated that, and the members hated it too, but that's what he required, and that's what he would do. So you just show up at their house. Of course, if they weren't there because they were working, that was a call. I just put a little note on and put it on their door saying I stopped by, so that was a call. Okay, so I could make it. You kind of learn to figure out who's actually working and show up at that day, and so you check it off. But there was one couple, a retired couple. They were a sweet couple. I went to their house, and they were so hospitable. Okay, they were very formal about things. They got these nice little cookies, and I don't drink coffee, but you know the cookies that you put with your coffee and all that. And okay, so I went to their house a little bit more, and well, that too. But the point was, I finally caught on about halfway through my year there and they're kind of like, you don't need to. They didn't say it this bluntly, but it's like, you don't need to come to our house so often. Yeah, they kind of basically I heard it. You don't need to come to our house so often. And I thought, okay, I think I did that. Too much of a good thing, okay? And I showed up. So I didn't. They never snitched on me or anything like that. It was fine, but I got the hint. You know, you don't need to come here all the time. Okay, so too much of me, and they started to hate me. All right. Yeah. All right, so we did, that was self-explanatory. Okay, the next one, we'll just get through this one fast. Like a club or a sword or a sharp arrow is the man who gives false testimony against his neighbor. Okay, the analogy is club, sword, or sharp arrow. What does that happen when someone is confronting you with a club, a sword, or a sharp arrow? Yeah, it's attacking, they're beating you up or killing you. So how is a man who gives false testimony like that? Isn't it pretty self-explanatory? It's destructive. Right. It can cause you a whole lot of problems, false lawsuits or something like that, or just ruin your reputation. Right, this is the commandment. You shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. And particularly in small towns, we know how that works. If you're in the business and someone says something bad about you, like you guys talk about your reports, you know, they fill out the little review. If they just do one negative review, right? Like, whether it's true or not, everyone reads it, right? Yeah, exactly. That's what this is. It's like a club or a sword or a sharp arrow to you. Right. And so don't be that person is what, and the positive approach for us is don't be that one. Okay, so we'll move on. Okay, like a bad tooth or a lame foot is reliance on the unfaithful in times of trouble. Okay, if they're, yeah. They, right. So if you have an employee or someone that you rely upon somehow who's unfaithful in fulfilling their obligation, it's the same thing, right? It just you just can't get anything done. We have a proverb for this one too. A friend need is a friend indeed. All right, there we go. So some of these proverbs have spawned new proverbs from us. Okay, but that's what this is getting at. Be reliable. If you're don't be that bad tooth or lame foot. Be a reliable in times of trouble, and particularly if you notice in times of trouble, because that's when you really need that person. You really need someone here when you're in a crisis or an emergency of some sort, and that person, is, yeah, I'll be there. You just ask me, I'll be there. Then you ask them, oh, I can't make it today. Yeah, right? Okay, so are you from experience or what? You know what that means, right? Okay. All right, so that's what that's about. Okay, like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on soda, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Okay. This is actually interesting. Okay, because I'm going to tell you, there's something about how the Hebrew works. Like one who takes away a garment on a cold day, or like vinegar poured on soda, is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. Okay, what's actually interesting about this is how this verse and the previous verse in Hebrew, there's a rhyme to it. Okay, in Hebrew, where it says in time of crisis or time of trouble, the words are bayom sarah, bayom sarah, bayom sarah, bayom sarah in time of crisis. The next one, it says on a cold day, it's bayom korah. Change one letter. So it's bayom sarah, bayom korah. So there's a rhyme to it. So if you're reading in Hebrew, you kind of, that's kind of cute, but it's kind of catchy and makes you have to say, okay, why did he say that way? Why did he use those words? Okay, and then there's another thing where it says an unfaithful person, the unfaithful there, in Hebrew it's bogad, emphasis, accent on the first syllable, bogad, okay? And then where it says takes away a garment, which means a coat, is beged, bogad or beged. It's actually the same consonants, different vowels. Bogad or beged. So there's a little play on the words here. That's just in the Hebrew. So obviously that doesn't mean anything for you guys, but what is this really getting at? If someone's really down and depressed in a bad mood or something like that, what should you not do? Well, yeah, there's that, but it's also, don't be all. Yeah. There's a silver lining. Every cloud has a silver lining. Okay, that's a good way of doing it. Don't use what we call pious platitudes. Oh, God will work it all out. You'll be fine and all that. No, don't. No, you don't want that. Don't be that person. What? Well, no, but okay, what do you do then? No, well, here, you want me to tell you what happened to me personally? I will, okay? I was just hospital chaplain and I learned this. I was hospital chaplain in January here, and I go in all the rooms, and I was going to this one guy's room. I obviously wasn't a Christian, as you're going to hear from what I'm telling you, and I said, I'm the chaplain, I'm here to visit, you need, okay? And so I was he was just kind of, okay? So I was saying, Jesus understands what we go through and our needs and all that. He says, when I'm in this much pain, I don't really want to hear that. And I thought, oh, okay. What do you need then? He says, I need a nurse. That's what he said. He says, I need a nurse. I said, okay, I'll get a nurse for you. And I learned something. as great as what I was saying is how true it is, I mean, is like he didn't want that. He wasn't even listening to that. He's like, shut up. He's basically saying, just shut up, get me a nurse, because I'm in pain. He really wasn't. He was a kind of complainer. It turns out I went to tell the nurse, they're like, okay. Yeah. But that's what it was. He didn't want to hear that. So you got to know when to say, it's Job's friends kind of thing too, okay? But you got to know when to do that. Okay, and we'll quote this one, but I remember too, and I'm not saying this is critical of anybody because I'm not being critical of anybody, but right before my heart surgery, it was interesting because, everyone's really positive and all this, and, you'll be fine. I heard that, you'll be fine, and all that. It's like, okay. He had been through heart surgery, serious heart surgery before I did. And when I told him, announced what was going to happen, you know what his comment was? Oh, not good. Do you know which comment I appreciate the most? His. Because he says, it's not going to be good. Other people are like, oh, you'll be fine. You're young, you're strong, you'll be fine. He says, no, it's not good. And I listened to him because I knew he'd been through it. He knew exactly what it's going to be like, and he told me, now don't do this, don't do this. Your pillow that you hold when you cough, that's your best friend. Don't lay flat on the floor because you won't be able to get back up because you have to engage those muscles, and it hurts like the dickens to do that. He told me all these things, and so who did I appreciate more? The one who says, face reality, I'm not having a good day. That's what this Proverbs, I'm not having a good day. Can you understand that and accept I'm not having a good day? You don't, but you want to be realistic. No false hopes. So, exactly. So aren't we hearing here how difficult it actually is to do this? It doesn't just happen naturally. And that's why people get kind of nervous about when they do talk with someone in a crisis situation, because I get that way still too. I'm so worried I'm going to say the wrong thing and they'll get so offended, so you don't know what to say. So you can see how this proverb is a really difficult one to actually do.
We have it all the time going on emergency scenes because you're dealing with people, you don't know if they're going to survive.
Oh, yeah, right.
And it's really difficult to not be too positive and say, yeah, you're going to be okay. We're going to do everything we can.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know, and I think one of the worst things we say to anybody is really thinking about it.
I know, and we all know that. Yeah, I know how you feel. I've been there, and if you have been there, you still, does that,
Even if you've done it,
right. I know.
I don't know what you say, but
I don't know either. See, I'm serious, and I'm supposed to know something, right? But
basically what I tell people, I'll tell them, I don't know what to say, but,
yeah, our prayers and our hot thoughts, and I mean that. I know. Well, and that's when you go to the previous proverb, and 2 months later you send it just out of the blue, you send a card, and I've been thinking about you. Hope things are getting better.
empathy, and there's a difference between sympathy and empathy.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel empathy, especially if you've not.
Right, and I understand that. After my heart surgery, I realized that people you haven't been through, you don't know what it is. Okay, but if you have, you do. And that's why you listen to the one who has. That's why the AA people or the grief counseling and all that's from people who've been through it. Yeah.
Well, one of my friends' grandmother left those kids in the car accident. Shannon just went and sat with them.
Yeah, right.
Angel said, there's nothing anyone can say.
Right.
Shannon just sat with him and was there if he needed to.
Right.
Said that was the best.
And that's what they say about Job's friends. They sat there for a week and didn't say a word. And they were great doing that, and then they opened their mouths, okay? But that's it. That's often what it takes. Just sit. Just presence. Yeah, exactly. All right. So that, we'll quit with that. These were really helpful Proverbs, I think, today. Hopefully you understood them and took them to heart. So next week we'll pick it up. The next one's a really good one, too. That's why I want to stop now, because we're going to spend time with the next proverb coming up. Okay? Okay, let's close. Next one is a familiar one. If your enemy is hungry, feed him. Who's thirsty? Yeah. Okay, let's close with prayer, though. Dear Heavenly Father, again, thank you for your word. Thank you for this message and the direction you have given us. Again, we ask that you will lead us by your Spirit so that we will understand what you have taught us and that we will remember it and be able to apply it in the ways that you call us to do, that we may be those faithful servants who bring joy and comfort and peace to others at times when they maybe are needing it but don't expect it and don't even know they'll be ever receiving it. So we pray that you will help us to have that insight into your word, into the lives of people, and know how to use it. Through Jesus, we ask this. Amen.